The galaxy was vast, filled with stars that burned like eternal lanterns in the dark ocean of space. Fleets of alien warships patrolled those stars, each one representing empires that believed themselves powerful, unshakable, and untouchable. For centuries, the Galactic Council had claimed dominance over every known system, and any threat that arose was crushed before it could breathe. They had no challengers left over, so they thought. Then one day, in the cold silence between forgotten sectors, scanners detected something strange. At first, the readings seemed like a mistake. A single energy signature appeared on the edge of their star maps, weak and flickering, as though the object were ancient and broken. The Council's monitoring officers leaned closer to their consoles, squinting at the green lines dancing across their screens. A hush fell over the chamber as they realized what the computer was identifying. It was not a freighter. It was not a derelict alien probe. It was a warship, and it was human. For several long seconds, no one spoke. The silence was heavy, filled with disbelief. Then, like a dam breaking, laughter erupted from the alien commanders. Their voices echoed through the council chamber. Harsh and mocking. Impossible, one barked, his mandibles clicking with amusement. Humans are dead. Their world destroyed, their colonies erased. Nothing remains. Another alien, scales glittering under the light, leaned back in his seat and sneered. If that is truly a human ship, it must be centuries old. Metal, held together by luck, a relic of ghosts. The chamber filled with cruel laughter. They joked about how easily one ship could be swatted aside, how they would parade its wreckage across their homeworlds, proof that humanity was nothing but a whisper of history. But not everyone laughed. An elder sat at the far end of the council. His skin pale and scarred from wars fought long before most of the others were born. His voice was low, rasping with age, but when he spoke, the laughter died. "Do not mock them," he said. "Humans never fight without reason. If one ship is here, then something else waits behind it." The room grew cold. No one wanted to admit fear, yet his words lingered in their minds like a shadow. Still, arrogance drowned their caution. Within hours, fleets began to mobilize. 1,000 ships from dozens of species gathered, weapons ready, engines burning bright against the void. They did not come to question the lone warship. They came to erase it. The galaxy turned its eyes toward the sector. Billions tuned into live transmissions, eager to watch the humiliation of Earth's last memory. For many, it was entertainment. For others, it was justice. But far away, in the silence of deep space, the human ship drifted quietly. Inside its darkened hull, a man sat alone. His uniform was faded, his hair streaked with gray, but his eyes were sharp steel hidden behind. Calm. The captain had been waiting for this moment, though none knew it. His ship, though ancient in appearance, was not broken. Every surface, every system, every weapon was hidden beneath layers of silence. Waiting for his command, the vessel was called Iron Requiem. It had been built in an age of betrayal. When humans were hunted and cornered, when the galaxy believed Earth would never rise again. The ship was not meant to be part of a fleet. It was designed to fight alone. Its armor was forged from alloys no other race could replicate, its weapons powered by cores that had slept for centuries. To outsiders, it looked like a relic, but to those who knew its secret, it was a predator cloaked in stillness. The captain rose from his chair, his boots echoing softly against the metal floor. He walked the length of the bridge, passing consoles, covered in dust, as though no hands had touched them for generations. Then he placed his palm on the command panel. The ship woke. Lights flared one by one. Red and sharp like the eyes of a beast opening after a long slumber. Holographic screens unfolded in the air, showing streams of data, power levels, and targeting solutions. Deep within the hull, reactors stirred, thrumming with low thunder. Old weapons, silent for centuries, began to hum with deadly energy. The captain's lips curved into a grim smile. "They think we are forgotten," he whispered. "Let them come." Meanwhile, the alien armadas closed in. Scout vessels reached the perimeter first, sleek ships with sharp wings designed for speed and precision. They approached cautiously, scanning the lone human warship from every angle. Reports came back quickly. No shields detected. Engines appear inactive. Weapons offline. Confidence swelled in the alien ranks. To them, the human vessel was nothing but a hollow shell, drifting without power. Their commanders laughed again, mocking the weakness of humanity. But their laughter did not last long. On board the Iron Requiem, the captain stood at the center of the bridge as warnings lit up across the screens. The scouts were circling, their weapons armed, ready to fire. He raised his hand slowly, like a conductor ready to begin a symphony. "Activate defense grid," he ordered. A deep vibration rolled through the ship. Red energy lines crawled across the hull, spreading like veins of fire. The lights outside blazed to life, glowing against the endless black of space. Alien scanners screamed in alarm. Systems that were once offline now spiked beyond measurable levels. Power readings climbed higher, faster, and then broke the charts entirely. The scouts began to panic. They had never seen technology behave like this. On the bridge, the captain's eyes narrowed. His voice was calm but heavy with finality. "Let the galaxy watch." The ship's ancient weapons, buried in silence for so long, roared awake. Across the stars, in every council chamber, in every home tuned to the broadcast, billions of beings leaned forward in disbelief. The human ship was not dead. It was alive, furious, and burning with energy that no alien mind could understand. The elder who had warned them whispered 3 words. Words that spread fear into every heart. It begins again. The first alien scout fired, a thin beam of plasma streaking across the void. It struck the human Holland, vanished. The Iron Requiem's armor shimmered faintly, dispersing the energy as though it were nothing more than a breeze. The captain did not flinch. He raised his hand once more. Target acquired. Panels slid open along the warship's sides, revealing cannons that glowed with unstable light. The energy built until it howled through space, then erupted in a single blinding blast. The first alien scout ship was erased in an instant. Not destroyed, erased, as if it had never existed. The other scouts screamed through their cums, retreating desperately, but the human vessel tracked them with cold precision. Another blast, then another. Ships that once carried pride and arrogance now turned to sparks and dust. And the captain, standing alone on his bridge, whispered into the silence, "You should not have come." As the last scout burned, silence filled the void again. Then, slowly, the rest of the alien fleet came into view. 1,000 ships, glowing like a wall of fire across the stars. Their weapons charged, their commanders screaming for blood, but the human warship stood ready. Its red lights glowed brighter, its ancient heart awake at last. For the first time in centuries, humanity's wrath returned to the galaxy. The news spread like wildfire. Every corner of the galaxy carried whispers of the lone human warship that had awakened in the void. In markets, taverns, starports, and council chambers, voices rose in shock and disbelief. Alien leaders tried to remain calm, but the truth was, undeniable scout ships had vanished, erased by a vessel that should not exist. Inside the Grand Council Hall, the atmosphere was heavy with tension. The chamber was a masterpiece of alien architecture, massive pillars carved from black crystal, glowing banners floating in the air, and a central dais where the high speaker sat, his many eyes blinking nervously. Around him sat the representatives of the great empires, each wearing robes, armor, or uniforms that displayed their power. Screens flickered across the walls, replaying the last transmissions of the scouts. The final seconds of the footage showed nothing but red light, then static. No explosion, no wreckage, just sudden erasure. The council erupted into arguments. "This is a trick," shouted a scaled warlord, his claws slamming against the table. "The humans cannot still exist. Their fleets were broken long ago." A tall insectoid snapped back, her wings buzzing with fury. "And yet their ship destroyed ours with one strike? Are you blind? Look at the readings. A serpent-like delegate hissed in irritation. One ship does not matter. We have thousands. We will crush it as we did their world. Laughter rippled through some of the seats, but it was nervous laughter. The recordings played again, and no one could deny what they had seen. At the far side of the hall, the elder of Koresh, the one who had spoken in part 1, rose to his feet. His body trembled with age, but his voice carried across the chamber. Like iron, you mock what you do not understand, he rasped. I fought against humans once, when their fleets burned across the stars. I saw them hold against impossible odds, bleeding but unbroken. Do you know what I learned? The chamber grew quiet. Dozens of eyes turned toward him. I learned that. One human ship is never alone. If you see one, then behind it, somewhere, waits something worse. A chill passed through the chamber. For a moment, even the most arrogant warlords were silent. Then the high speaker rose, slamming his staff against the floor. His voice boomed, filled with false confidence. You fear ghosts, Elder. I see only one vessel. The council will not tremble before shadows. We are united. We are strong. There are 10,000 fleets across 1,000 systems. And we will not allow a relic of humanity to frighten us. The chamber filled with applause and roars of agreement. Arrogance drowned the warning. Pride blinded them to fear. The elder sat slowly, his eyes heavy with sorrow. He knew they had already sealed their fate. Across the void, the armadas prepared. From dozens of worlds, ships had gathered sleek cruisers. Heavy dreadnoughts, carriers filled with swarms of fighters, they floated together like a sea of steel, their lights glowing against the black of space. In all, more than 1,000 vessels had surrounded the lone human warship. From a distance, it looked absurd one against so many. The alien admirals watched from their command ships, grinning with contempt. Begin the first strike? Ordered one. Send 100 ships forward. Let the galaxy see how fragile this human toy truly is. The first wave broke formation. Engines blazing. 100 alien ships advanced, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. The galaxy tuned in, billions of eyes watching. Commentators predicted the battle would last seconds. Wagers were made in back rooms and trading halls. Some bet on 5 seconds, some on 10. None expected more. But on the bridge of the Iron Requiem, the human captain did not move. His ship remained silent, drifting like a corpse in the void. Alien. Voices mocked him across open channels. Coward. Relic. Die quietly, human. Da. The captain stood at his console, his face calm, his eyes cold. The ship's AI whispered through the speakers, its voice mechanical yet sharp. Targets. Locked. Weapons primed. The captain's lips curved into the faintest smile. Wait. The alien fleet closed in, 100 strong weapons nearly in range. Their commanders prepared to fire all at once, ready to turn the human ship into ashes. Galaxy held its breath. Then, at the very last moment, the human warship's engines flared. The silence ended. The Iron Requiem moved. To the alien admirals, it was impossible. The warship did not accelerate like normal ships. It vanished and reappeared in the blink of an eye, crossing impossible distances faster than their sensors could track. 1 second it was drifting, the next it was behind them, and then came the strike. From its flanks, ancient cannons roared. Bolts of red light tore across the battlefield, cutting through armor as if it were paper. Alien cruisers exploded into fireballs, one after another, their screams filling the comms. The council chamber watched in horror as ship after ship was erased. 10 destroyed in seconds. Then 20, then 50. The human vessel moved like a predator. Among prey, striking, vanishing, striking again. Panic filled the alien ranks. Where did it go? It's behind us. Our shields are useless. Explosions lit the void. Pieces of broken ships drifted into silence, glowing embers against the darkness. The first wave, 100 proud vessels, was gone. Not a single survivor. In the council hall, silence reigned. No one laughed now. No one mocked. Faces pale with disbelief stared at the smoking wreckage shown on the live feed. Finally, Serpent Delegate hissed in anger, trying to hide his fear. It cannot last. The ship cannot fight forever. It is 1 against 1,000. They will tire. They must. Others nodded, though their voices shook. They clung to hope, but in their hearts they knew the elder was right. The elder rose again, his eyes burning with grim truth. "You fools," he said. "This is no ordinary ship. It is a message. Humanity has returned, and if one ship can do this, imagine the fleet behind it." The High Speaker slammed his staff once more, his voice loud but trembling silence. "The Council will not surrender. 2 human ghosts. Deploy the dreadnoughts. Crush it." Back at the battlefield, the alien armadas prepared their next move. The loss of 100 ships had stunned them, but they still believed in numbers. From the heart of their formation, 10 massive dreadnoughts emerged. Each was the size of a small moon, their hulls bristling with weapons, their shields glowing like suns. These were the pride of the galaxy. The ships that had conquered countless worlds. They formed a wall, their weapons charging, their power enough to tear a planet apart. Inside the human ship, the AI's voice hummed again. 10 dreadnoughts incoming. Weapons locked. Probability of victory, 72%. The captain's eyes narrowed. His voice was quiet, steady. "Then we adjust." The Iron Requiem's hull shifted, panels sliding open to reveal weapons the galaxy had never seen: graviton lances, rail cannons, and storm batteries charged with raw energy. The ship glowed brighter, its silhouette now sharp and terrifying. The dreadnoughts opened fire. Beams of energy, wide as mountains, cut through the void. Explosions shook space itself. The human vessel vanished again. It's moving faster than thought, and then it struck back. One dreadnought split in half, its burning pieces drifting like falling stars. Another was pierced through its core, detonating in a blast that destroyed dozens. Of nearby ships, the galaxy screamed in disbelief. The Council gasped. The Elder whispered only one word: war. As the 10th dreadnought exploded in flames, silence spread once again. The human ship floated among wreckage, glowing red, alive. With fury, across the galaxy, no one laughed anymore. The admirals of the alien fleet, pale and trembling, realized the truth too late. This was not one ship fighting for survival. This was one ship sending a message, and the message was clear. Humanity had returned. The battlefield was silent now, except for the drifting wreckage of alien ships. Fires burned quietly in the void, sparks and twisted metal floating like ghosts of those who had believed themselves invincible. 1,000 ships had come, yet in the first clashes alone, over 100 were gone. 10 massive dreadnoughts had fallen. The galaxy was watching in stunned disbelief. But inside the Iron Requiem, the captain stood alone on the bridge, staring at the fading light of the explosions. His eyes were calm, yet heavy with something deeper, something carved by years of loss. He was not only fighting for survival, he was fighting for memory. The ship's AI broke the silence, enemy formations reorganizing. Estimated time to next wave: 15 minutes. The captain exhaled slowly. His hand brushed across the console where a small photograph had been. Placed under the glass, a woman's face, a child's smile. Behind them, a blue planet with white clouds. Earth. He touched it with his fingertips, as if drawing strength from the image. "They think we are gone," he whispered, his voice low. Almost a prayer. "But as long as I breathe, as long as this ship stands, Earth still speaks." The ship dimmed its lights, as if listening. And then, without command, the Iron Requiem opened its memory archives. Holograms shimmered into the air, flooding the bridge with images of the past. The captain's breath caught. He saw the fall of Earth. The sky burned with alien fire. Cities crumbled, oceans boiled, towers of smoke reached for the stars. Billions of voices screamed, then fell silent. Humanity had fought desperately, fleets of warships blazing against the alien tide. Soldiers standing on broken streets with rifles clutched in bleeding hands. But they had been betrayed. The Council had promised peace, then delivered war. The holograms shifted. He saw himself younger, a soldier among thousands, his uniform new, his eyes bright with hope. He remembered the orders. Protect Earth at all costs. He remembered how their allies abandoned them, how their fleets closed in. He remembered the day the oceans turned red. The AI's voice interrupted his thoughts, calm and emotionless. Playback complete. Would you like to view personal logs? The captain nodded. His throat tightened, but he forced the words out. Show me. The holograms changed again. This time it was his family. His wife's laughter echoed softly, carrying across the bridge. His child's voice called out, excited about something small, running through a garden, chasing a ball. For a moment, the warship's cold walls seemed warm. For a moment, he felt human again. But then the logs darkened. The voices turned to screams. His family had been on one of the colonies, the colony that the Council targeted first. He had been away, commanding a fleet. He had received the message too late. By the time he returned, there was nothing but ash. He clenched his fists. His heart burned with the same fire that powered the ship. This is why I fight, he said. Not for revenge alone, not for myself, but because no one in this galaxy should forget what they did to us. Humanity will never be erased, not while I breathe. The Iron Requiem responded. Its systems pulsed with red light as though the ship itself shared his pain. The AI's voice came again, softer now. Captain, humanity's memory is my memory. We are one. Do you wish to initiate Phase 2? The captain hesitated. Phase 2. It was dangerous. It would awaken systems that had never been tested. But he looked again at the photograph beneath the glass. The choice was already made. Yes, he said. Phase 2. Deep within the iron. Requiem hidden cores roared to life. The ship trembled, its armor plates shifting, opening like the wings of a beast, stretching after long slumber. Energy surged through conduits, humming like thunder. Outside, alien fleets detected the sudden spike. Their sensors screamed warnings. The human vessel was no longer just a ship, it was becoming something else. Alien admirals shouted across there. Comes, destroy it now. Focus all fire on the human vessel. Do not let it complete whatever it is doing. But they were too late. The Iron Requiem's hull lit with blazing lines of crimson energy. Ancient weapons, buried for centuries, unfolded like blades. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. On the bridge, the captain closed his eyes. His mind drifted again into memory, this time to his oath. He remembered the last council of human commanders when their fleets were shattered, their colonies burning. The leaders had spoken. If the galaxy turns against us, then we will leave behind something they cannot ignore. A weapon, a reminder, a message. He remembered placing his hand on the oath stone, vowing to protect the Iron Requiem until the day came when it must rise again. That day was now. He opened his eyes. This ship is not just steel, he whispered. It is the memory of humanity. And today, they will remember us. The next alien wave arrived. 200 ships this time, desperate to overwhelm by sheer numbers. Fighters swarmed like locusts, bombers streaked with trails of fire, cruisers fired beams wide enough to slice mountains. The void lit with chaos, but the Iron Requiem was awake. Its weapons screamed. Graviton lances fired, bending space itself, crushing ships as though they were paper. Rail cannons launched slugs at near-light speed, piercing holes like arrows through cloth. Energy storms erupted, tearing entire squadrons apart in flashes of lightning. From the galaxy's view, it was a slaughter. Alien fleets that had boasted of power were shredded like leaves in a storm. Ships turned to fireballs. Crews screamed before silence claimed them. And through it all, the human captain stood steady, his eyes on the photograph. Every alien ship that fell was not just an enemy destroyed. It was another line written into humanity's story, in the council chamber. Chaos erupted. Delegates screamed at each other, blaming rivals, demanding explanations. Some called for retreat, some demanded more fleets. Others shouted that this was impossible, that no ship could hold such power. The elder only shook his head. His voice was quiet, almost lost in the noise. You should have listened, should have remembered. This is what happens when arrogance blinds you. This is what happens when you forget that humanity was forged on a death world. His words were ignored, drowned by panic. But the galaxy had already seen the truth. On the battlefield, the second wave was gone. Wreckage drifted, smoke and silence, filling the stars. The Iron Requiem slowed, hovering among the ruins of its enemies. The captain lowered his hand, and the ship's weapons cooled. The AI spoke again. 2 waves destroyed. Enemy forces reduced by 30%. Estimated survival probability of remaining fleet decreasing rapidly. The captain did not respond immediately. His gaze remained on the photograph. He whispered words meant only for himself. "This is for you, for all of you." His hand tightened into a fist. Then he straightened, his voice hard and clear. "Prepare for the next strike. Humanity does not stop. Not today. Not ever." Across the galaxy, fear spread like wildfire. Billions of watchers no longer saw the human warship as a relic. They saw it as a nightmare. Alien commanders realized too late that this was no ordinary battle, and as the wreckage of hundreds of ships burned in the void, one question echoed across every star system. If one human warship could do this, what would happen when the fleet returned? A void of space had become a graveyard. Hundreds of alien ships burned in silence, their wreckage drifting like the shattered bones of fallen titans. The Iron Requiem, one human warship, stood alone. Among them, its red lines glowing like fire against the endless dark. But for the alien fleets, this was not the end. It was the beginning. On the command ships of the Galactic Armada, admirals shouted across. "There comes." Their faces, scaled, armored, furred, or insectoid, were pale with disbelief. They had lost hundreds of vessels, yet still they held the numbers. 900 warships remained, swarming around the lone human vessel like predators circling prey. "This ship cannot stand forever," one admiral barked. "It bleeds energy. Surround it and crush it." "Bring the swarm forward," another ordered. "Our fighters will overwhelm its defenses." Orders spread. Engines roared. Weapons flared. The void brightened with fire. The third wave began. Inside, the Iron Requiem, the captain stood tall on the bridge. The ship trembled slightly as power surged through its systems, but he remained calm, his gaze steady on the glowing battlefield map. His voice was low, but firm. "Let them come." The AI's tone was cold, efficient. Enemy fleet advancing. Estimated units: 300 fighters, 50 bombers, 100 cruisers. Trajectory: surrounding maneuver. The captain adjusted the holomap with a flick of his hand. Red icons marked enemy ships, swarming toward his position. He did not panic. He had seen this before. He had lived through battles where odds were hopeless, where humans fought with desperation and fire. And every time he remembered one truth: humans never surrendered. "Engage Phase 2 fully," he ordered. The ship's core pulsed brighter. Weapons unfolded like the wings of a beast. The Iron Requiem shifted position, no longer drifting like prey, but moving with purpose. The first strike was about to begin. The alien fighters reached firing range first. Sleek, fast, agile, designed to cut down capital ships through speed and numbers, darted through the void like angry hornets, hundreds at once, their plasma cannons blazing. Bolts of green and blue fire streaked toward the Iron Requiem. The ship's shields flared. The hull shimmered with red light, bending the energy aside. The alien pilots cheered, believing they were cracking its defenses. But they did not see the trap. On the human vessel's underside, hatches opened. Swarms of drones poured out each. One sleek, black and sharp like a blade. They moved with terrifying coordination, faster than the fighters, darting among them with precision. Explosions filled the void. Fighter after fighter was cut down, their pilots screaming as drones pierced. Their engines shredded their wings and detonated inside their cockpits. Within minutes, the swarm of 300 had turned into wreckage. The galaxy watched in silence. Billions stared at their screens, their jaws open, unable to comprehend. One ship, Just one ship, and it was erasing fleets like they were nothing. The alien bombers came next. Heavy, slow, carrying warheads meant to destroy planetary shields. They released their payloads, massive torpedoes glowing with deadly energy, streaking toward the human vessel. The captain's voice was steady. Countermeasures.
Ow.
Iron Requiem's hull glowed brighter. Panels opened, releasing shock waves of electromagnetic force. The torpedoes veered off course, colliding with each other, exploding harmlessly in the void. Then the ship's railguns spoke. Metal slugs, accelerated to near-light speed, ripped through the bombers. One after another, they were torn apart, fireballs, blossoming in the darkness. The captain's eyes narrowed. His voice was almost a whisper. You thought we were weak. You thought we were gone. But this is humanity's first strike. The alien cruisers fired next. Massive beams of energy cut through the void wide enough to split a city in two. Dozens fired at once, converging on the Iron Requiem's position. The ship vanished in the blink of an eye. It was gone from their sensors, moving faster than they could track. The beams struck empty space. The cruisers scrambled, panicked, shouting across their comms. Then the Iron Requiem reappeared behind them. Its graviton lances fired, bending space itself. Cruisers twisted unnaturally, their hulls bending, breaking, snapping like twigs under invisible pressure. One by one, they collapsed in on themselves, imploding in silence. The galaxy gasped. Even the council chambers, filled with proud warlords and arrogant delegates, fell silent. Their laughter from days ago was gone. In its place was terror. The elder rose slowly from his seat, his voice trembling yet strong. You see now? One ship. One human ship. And already your fleets crumble. What will you do when the rest awaken? No one answered him. They could not. On the battlefield, silence fell again. Wreckage drifted, glowing faintly. The third wave was gone. The alien armadas hesitated now. They still had numbers. Hundreds of ships still floated in formation, but none moved forward. None dared inside. The command ships, admirals argued, their voices shrill with fear. Retreat, we cannot win this. No, press forward. If we fall back, the council will kill us. This ship is not a vessel, it is a weapon. We must destroy it now. But their words were hollow. The galaxy had seen the truth. The Iron Requiem was not fighting for survival, was hunting. Inside the human warship, the captain looked once more at the photograph beneath his console. His hand hovered over it, steady and firm. His family's faces smiled back at him, frozen in time. His voice was soft, but filled with iron. This is for you. For Earth, for every voice they silenced. The AI's voice echoed calm and sharp. Captain, remaining enemy forces, approximately 600. Estimated probability of their next attack, 87%. The captain's lips curled into a grim smile. Good. Let them come. In the council chamber, the high speaker rose, his voice desperate, booming across the hall. We cannot retreat. Gosh, if we retreat, we show weakness. Send everything. All of it. Crush the human ship, or we lose the galaxy itself.
What?
The delegates shouted in protest, but their voices were drowned in fear. The order spread. Every surviving alien vessel 100 strong began to prepare for the ultimate assault. But deep in their hearts, they knew. They had already lost. The battlefield grew still, the alien armadas regrouping, their weapons glowing brighter than suns. 600 ships prepared to strike as one. The galaxy leaned forward, watching with trembling breath. On the bridge of the Iron Requiem, the captain stood alone, the red glow reflecting in his eyes. His voice was steady, unshaken. This was only the beginning. Now they will learn what it means to wake a human warship. And with that, the ship's core pulsed like a beating heart, all brighter than ever before. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. 600 alien warships hovered in formation, their weapons glowing. Like suns, they were the greatest fleets of dozens of empires, united by arrogance, by fear, and by pride. Across the galaxy, Billions watched the live transmission, their screens filled with the image of one human warship surrounded by an ocean of fire. The admirals shouted commands, their voices shrill and desperate. Lock all weapons on the human vessel. Target its engines, its weapons, its heart. This time, no mistakes. It's it. The void trembled as 600 ships charged their weapons at once. Never before had so much firepower been focused on a single target. They believed this would end it. They believed no ship, human or otherwise, could withstand what was coming. And then they fired. The universe lit up. Beams of plasma, lances of energy, torpedoes glowing brighter than stars, all converged on the Iron Requiem. The battlefield turned into blinding light, a storm of destruction so massive it could have cracked a planet. The galaxy cheered, convinced they had won. But when the light faded, the truth was revealed. The Iron Requiem still floated there. Its shields burned crimson, its armor glowing, but it had not been destroyed. It had taken the fire of 600 ships and survived. Alien crews screamed in disbelief. Admirals shouted in rage, unable to accept what they saw. Impossible. It should be gone. Fire again. They did not realize that the trap had already been sprung inside the human warship. The captain stood calm at the center of the bridge. The photograph of Earth's blue ocean still glowed beneath the glass of his console. His voice was quiet but steady, carrying the weight of a man who had nothing left to lose. They fired together, he said. Now they will fall together. ... AI's voice was sharp, mechanical. Phase 3 protocol, confirmed. Panels across the ship slid open. For centuries, these weapons had slept, forbidden and sealed away. Now they awoke the graviton web. Invisible lines of gravity bent across the battlefield, linking ship to ship, weapon to weapon. The alien fleets did not notice at first. Their scanners screamed with static, but they thought it was only interference from their combined fire. They did not realize the Iron Requiem had twisted the very fabric of space around them. Lock engaged. The AI said. The captain raised his hand. Fire. What followed was chaos. The Iron Requiem's weapons roared, but not at the alien ships. Directly. Instead, they struck at the very heart of the gravitational web. Energy surged, bending the lines until they snapped. And when they snapped, the alien fleets turned their own fire against themselves. Beams meant for the human vessel bent sideways, slamming into allied ships. Torpedoes twisted mid-flight, detonating against the hulls of their own carriers.
Plasma.
Lances curved in impossible arcs, cutting through cruisers that had fired them. The galaxy gasped as 600 ships turned into a storm of friendly fire. Admirals shouted in horror, their commands drowned in screams. Cease fire! Stop! You're hitting us. Shut down the weapons now. But it was too late. The trap had been set long before they realized. On the bridge of the Iron Requiem, Captain's eyes were cold steel. He did not smile. He did not celebrate. His voice was the voice of judgment. They betrayed us with numbers once. Let them drown in their numbers now. One by one, alien ships erupted into flames. Cruisers split apart. Fighters crashed into each other. Dreadnoughts tore open under their own fire, and the battlefield became an inferno of wreckage. A graveyard growing larger every second. Within minutes, over 100 ships were gone. The rest scattered, their formations broken, their discipline shattered. What had begun as a united strike was now chaos. The galaxy's screens showed it all in real time. Billions stared, silent, their hearts pounding with fear. The humans were not fighting defensively. They were not merely resisting. They were outsmarting, outmaneuvering, outthinking the greatest fleets the galaxy had ever assembled in the council chamber. Panic consumed the delegates. They cannot be allowed to win. A warlord screamed, his armor rattling as he slammed his fist on the table. They already are winning, whispered another, her voice hollow with terror. This ship is cursed. It is not of this galaxy, shouted a third. The elder stood. His old eyes filled with both sorrow and grim satisfaction. You still do not understand, he said. This is not a cursed ship. This is humanity. Betrayed them. You've burned their worlds. And now you face the cost of your arrogance. The chamber fell silent. Even the high speaker's booming voice faltered. Deep inside, they all knew it was true. Back on the battlefield, the alien fleets made one last desperate move. The remaining dreadnoughts pulled forward, their weapons glowing brighter than ever before. They carried the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy, a planet cracker beam, designed to split worlds apart. Charge all weapons. An admiral screamed. If it takes our lives, we will erase the human. The beams began to glow, brighter and brighter, until they looked like stars collapsing into fire. The galaxy leaned forward, terrified of what would happen. The captain of the Iron Requiem remained still. His hand rested on the console, his eyes on the photograph of Earth. His voice was low, steady, filled with memory. They cracked our world once. Never again, AI, he said. Initiate the mirror. Confirmed. The Iron Requiem's armor shifted, its surface glowing with crimson light. The gravitational web twisted once more, bending space itself like a mirror. The dreadnoughts fired. But their planet cracker beams did not strike the human warship. They bent, curved, and slammed directly into the dreadnoughts themselves. The galaxy shook with the explosion. 10 dreadnoughts, each the size of moons, erupted in fire all at once. The shockwave spread for thousands of kilometers, tearing apart dozens more ships caught in the blast. Billions of watchers gasped in terror. The council chamber froze in silence, and the admirals who survived stared in horror at their burning fleets. The trap was complete. When the smoke cleared, less than 300 alien ships remained. What had begun as 1,000 had been cut in half. The rest floated in broken silence, their crews trembling, their commanders pale with fear. Inside the Iron Requiem, the captain closed his eyes. His voice was quiet, but carried through the ship like thunder. This is the price of betrayal. This is humanity's answer. The AI spoke. Enemy forces crippled. Their morale is broken. Shall we pursue? The captain shook his head. Not yet. Let them think they can still escape. Fear will do the rest. He turned back to the photograph beneath the glass. His family's smiles seemed to glow in the red light of the bridge. For a moment his eyes softened. Then they hardened again. Filled with the fire of vengeance, they thought Earth was gone, he whispered. Ash! But Earth is here, in every shot, in every fire, in every scream. The alien fleets floated broken, their dreadnoughts shattered, their weapons turned against themselves. Yet even in defeat, they prepared for one last desperate stand. And across the galaxy, fear grew. If one human warship could set such traps, destroy so many fleets, then what awaited in the shadows of the stars? The council whispered the question no one dared to answer. If this is only one ship, where are the rest? The battlefield was now a sea of burning wreckage. Alien ships once proud, once feared, floated broken, their twisted hulls glowing faintly in the dark. Out of 1,000 vessels, less than 300 remained. The galaxy watched in silence, its arrogance shattered. One human warship had turned their greatest fleet into ashdot, yet even as fear spread, the admirals of the surviving armada clung to hope. This ship cannot last forever. One snarled, his mandibles clicking in rage. It bleeds power, another hissed. It cannot keep this fight. Soon it will fall. Bring everything we have left. Crush it before the council destroys us for failure. The orders spread like fire. What remained of the alien armada gathered into a tight wall of steel, surrounding the lone human vessel from every direction. Fighters and cruisers, bombers and carriers. Dreadnoughts, scarred but still alive, all turned their weapons on the Iron Requiem. The galaxy held its breath. Inside the human ship, the captain stood calm, his face lit by the red glow of the consoles. His hand rested on the photograph beneath the glass, his eyes steady. The AI's voice echoed across the bridge. Remaining hostile forces, 278. Formations complete. They are surrounding us. The captain's lips curved into the faintest shadow of a smile. Good, he said softly. Let them surround us. The AI paused. Do you wish to reveal the arsenal? For a moment, the captain said nothing. He looked at the stars beyond the bridge window, where the last of the alien fleets gathered like vultures. His voice was quiet, heavy with memory. They wanted to see humanity's strength. Let them see it, confirmed, the AI replied. Deep within the Iron Requiem, ancient locks disengaged. Sealed compartments hissed open. For centuries they had remained hidden, unknown even to most of humanity. Weapons forbidden by treaty. Weapons designed not to win battles, but to end them. The ship trembled as its hidden arsenal awakened. Panels along the hull slid apart. From within came massive cannons glowing with unnatural energy. Spires unfolded, humming with power that bent the very void. Rail systems extended, sharp and endless, designed to hurl slugs the size of buildings. But these were not the most terrifying. At the ship's core, spheres of dark matter pulsed, each one chained in magnetic fields. They were weapons of last resort, weapons meant to tear stars apart. Humanity had built them in its final days, desperate, vengeful, and now one captain stood ready to use them. The alien fleets saw the change. Their scanners screamed warnings. As weapons unfolded that should not exist, admirals shouted across their comms. What is that? Our sensors cannot identify it. Destroy it. Destroy it before it fires. The order was given. 200 ships opened fire at once. Beams of plasma, storms of torpedoes, lances of energy all tore across the void, converging on the Iron Requiem. The stars disappeared in blinding light, but the human ship did not vanish. Its new weapons roared. The first strike came from the rail cannons. Slugs of hyperdense metal streaked across space at impossible speed. They tore through enemy cruisers as if they were paper, punching holes clean through their cores. Ships exploded in silence, their wreckage tumbling. The second strike came from the storm batteries. Arcs of crimson lightning leapt between enemy formations, frying their shields, burning their crews alive inside their cockpits. Entire squadrons vanished in a web of fire. The third strike was worse. The dark matter lances fired. Invisible to the eye, but felt in the soul, they tore apart space itself. Alien ships caught in their path folded inward, crushed into singularities, erased from existence. No wreckage, no flame, just nothingness. The galaxy screamed. Delegates in the council chamber shouted in horror as they watched ships vanish without trace. Some covered their faces. Others demanded the broadcast be cut, but the high speaker ordered it to continue. He wanted the galaxy to see, even if it meant seeing their own doom. This is not war, one delegate whispered. This is annihilation. The elder spoke, his voice heavy. No, this is memory. This is the voice of Earth. Answering at last. On the battlefield, panic spread. Alien crews begged their commanders to retreat, their voices breaking. But the admirals, trapped between fear of the human ship and fear of their own council, screamed at them to fight. Keep firing. Overwhelm it. If you stop, you die anyway. And so they pressed on. Fighters swarmed, bombers dove, cruisers fired until their weapons overheated. The void became chaos. Filled with fire and wreckage, but the Iron Requiem cut through them like a blade. The captain's face remained calm, his eyes burning with cold fire. He gave no speeches. He offered no mercy. His ship spoke for him. Minutes turned into an eternity. The alien fleet shrank with every passing second. 200 became 150. 150 became 100. The graveyard of ships grew larger, glowing with flames that lit the void like a second galaxy. Inside the council chamber, silence reigned. No one mocked humans now. No one laughed. They watched in horror as their fleets were erased. The high speaker's many eyes darted across the screens, his voice breaking. It cannot be only one ship. There must be more. There must be a fleet hidden somewhere. But no one answered him. Inside the Iron Requiem, the AI spoke. Enemy forces reduced. 267. Victory probability. 98%. The captain's hand brushed the photograph beneath the console. His family's faces looked back at him, forever frozen in time. His voice was low, but unshakable. They thought Earth was weak. They thought we would break. But this ship carries every tear, every scream, every life they stole. It carries all of us. His hand clenched into a fist, and we will not stop. The alien admirals, broken and desperate, ordered their last surviving ships to ram the human vessel. Engines roared as they hurled their cruisers forward. Suicide attacks meant to overwhelm. The captain's eyes narrowed. "Now," he whispered. The Iron Requiem revealed its final secret. Hidden ports opened, releasing gravity mindzorbs that pulsed with invisible force. As the alien ships closed in, the mines detonated, pulling them off course. Cruisers slammed into each other. Fighters spiraled into the wreckage of their own allies. Dreadnoughts twisted until their hulls split apart. Battlefield ended in chaos. When the smoke cleared, silence reigned once more. Out of 1,000 alien ships, only a handful limped away, broken and burning. The rest were gone. The void belonged to the Iron Requiem. Inside, the captain lowered his hand, his eyes closing for a moment. His voice was quiet, filled with both sorrow and fire. "This was not a battle," he whispered. "This was a reminder. Humanity is never gone. Humanity is never silent." The AI spoke, calm and final. "Enemy fleets destroyed. Remaining forces retreating. Shall we pursue?" The captain opened his eyes. His voice was steady. "No. Let them run. Let them tell the galaxy what they saw." The alien survivors fled into the stars, their voices shaking as they broadcast warnings to their empires. Across the galaxy, fear spread faster than fire. Billions whispered the same words. If one human ship could do this, what happens when the fleet arrives? The Iron Requiem floated among the wreckage, its weapons still glowing, its captain unbroken, and far away, in the council chamber, the elder spoke the truth. No one dared admit. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. The battlefield was silent now, but it was not peace. Silence came only because nothing remained alive to resist. The Iron Requiem floated in the center of a graveyard of ships, its red glow painting the wreckage like the fires of an ancient god. Out of 1,000 alien warships, only fragments remained, scattered and burning. But across the galaxy, the Council still believed it could not end this way. Pride refused to die, even when reality had shattered it. Inside the Grand Council, Hall voices rose again in anger and fear. "This cannot continue," shouted a reptilian warlord, his scales trembling with rage. "We are the Council. We control 10,000 fleets. We will drown this human ship in endless fire." An insectoid delegate slammed her claw on the table. "Do you not see? 1,000 ships have already fallen. How many more will you sacrifice before we admit the truth?" But the High Speaker would not bend. His staff struck the floor, his many eyes blazing. "We will not bow to a ghost of Earth. We are the galaxy. Summon reinforcements from every system. Summon the hidden fleets. Summon the reserve dreadnoughts. This warship must be erased, no matter the cost." The delegates roared in approval and fear. Their voices echoed through the chamber. The decision was made. The largest fleet in Galactic history would be assembled. If 1,000 ships had failed, they would send 10,000. The elder rose slowly, his old eyes filled with sorrow. "You still do not understand," he said softly. "Every ship you send will only write your doom. Faster, you are not turning the tide. The tide has already turned against you." But no one listened. On the edge of the battlefield, new signals appeared. Hundreds of reinforcements were warping in, drawn from every empire. They filled the sky with light as their engines flared, one after another, until the stars themselves seemed drowned. The galaxy gasped as screens across worlds showed the sight. A sea of alien warships stretching farther than the eye could see. 10,000 vessels. They came forward slowly, their weapons armed, their commanders screaming for vengeance. This was no longer a battle. It was a war. Inside the Iron Requiem, the captain stood silently at the bridge. His hand rested on the photograph beneath the glass, his family's faces looking back at him. His voice was calm, though he faced the largest fleet the galaxy had ever assembled. "They think numbers will save them," he said softly. "They think arrogance can replace memory, but they are wrong. They always were." The AI's voice responded, steady and cold. "Enemy reinforcements detected. Estimated numbers, 9,612. Probability of victory, decreasing." The captain's eyes narrowed. "Not if we change the rules." The ship's hidden cores pulsed again, brighter than before. The Iron Requiem had not yet revealed everything. The captain had held back, waiting for this moment. "Activate transformation sequence," he ordered. "Confirmed," the AI replied. The Iron Requiem began to shift. Armor plates slid apart. The hull split open, revealing glowing machinery beneath. What had looked like a massive warship now grew larger, brighter, more terrifying. The galaxy gasped. The Iron Requiem was not just a warship. It was something greater. It was a superweapon. Alien admirals screamed in fear. "What is happening? Our sensors cannot read its energy levels. It is growing beyond size limits." The council chamber froze as their screens showed the transformation. The high speaker's many eyes blinked rapidly in shock. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No species could build such a thing." The elder spoke again, his voice heavy. "You should have remembered who you were dealing with. Humanity was not destroyed because it was weak. Humanity was hunted because it was strong." The Iron Requiem's new form glowed like a crimson star. Its weapons extended, its shields multiplied, its engines roared with impossible power. It no longer looked like a single ship. It looked like a fortress, a moving world of war. The captain's voice was steady. "Now we show them the tide has turned." The alien fleet opened fire. 10,000 ships unleashed their weapons all at once. The void exploded with light beams, brighter than suns, torpedoes that could split moons, plasma storms that scorched the stars themselves. The galaxy cheered, certain that this was the end. But when the smoke cleared, the Iron Requiem still floated there, glowing, alive, unbroken. Then it struck back. Its first volley shattered hundreds of ships at once. Gravity storms erupted, pulling fleets into one another, twisting them until they collided and exploded. Rail slugs tore through carriers, splitting them in half. Dark matter lances erased dreadnoughts from existence. Alien commanders screamed, but their orders turned to chaos. Fleets broke apart, ships scattered, panic spread like wildfire in minutes. Thousands were gone. The galaxy watching live fell into silence. Entire worlds trembled as they realized what was happening. The tide had turned not for the aliens, but against them. Inside the council chamber, panic erupted once again. Delegates shouted, screamed, begged. Some demanded retreat. Others demanded surrender. The high speaker roared for silence, his voice shaking with rage. "We cannot fall. We will not fall. Humanity cannot return." But the elder only shook his head. "They already have." On the battlefield, the last alien formations crumbled. Entire empires saw their banners burn in the void, their fleets erased in hours. And yet the Iron Requiem remained, glowing, burning, alive. Inside, the captain stood tall, his voice calm but filled with fire. "They thought we were gone," he whispered. "But we are the storm they never saw coming. Now the tide is ours." The alien armadas, once united, broke apart completely. Thousands of survivors fled into the stars, their voices filled with terror as they broadcast warnings across the galaxy. The tide had turned. Humanity had returned. And across the galaxy, billions whispered the question in fear. If one ship could break 10,000, what will happen when Earth's fleet arrives? The battlefield had ended. The galaxy had not. Where once 10,000 alien ships had filled the stars, now only wreckage drifted. Hulls cracked open, fires burning silently, fragments glowing faintly against the void. What had been the greatest fleet in history was now a graveyard. The Iron Requiem, one human warship, stood alone among the ruins, its red glow painting the wreckage like a warning carved into the stars. Across the galaxy, silence spread. Worlds that had cheered for the fleet's victory now sat frozen, there. Screens filled with the sight of alien empires broken in a single battle. The laughter of arrogance was gone. Only fear remained. Inside the Iron Requiem, the captain stood motionless on the bridge. His hand rested on the photograph beneath the Glass's family's faces smiling up at him. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was listening to a human voice again. The AI's calm tone broke the silence. Enemy fleets destroyed, survivors retreating. Long-range transmissions detected. The entire galaxy is watching. The captain closed his eyes. He breathed slowly, feeling the weight of history pressing down on his shoulders. This was not only victory. This was a message. He turned toward the main console. "Open channel," he ordered. "Confirmed," the AI replied. Across every system, in every empire, on every world, screens flickered. The image of the human captain appeared, framed by the red glow of his ship. Billions leaned forward there, hearts racing, their breath caught in their throats. For the first time in generations, a human was speaking to the galaxy. His voice was steady, deep, and filled with iron. "You thought we were gone? You thought you had erased us from history? You burned our worlds, betrayed our trust, and slaughtered our families. You mocked us as weak, as relics, as ghosts. But humanity does not vanish. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity remembers." The chamber of the council froze. The High Speaker's staff slipped from his trembling hands. The captain's voice grew. "Stronger the ship you face is only one. One ship against your thousands. One ship against your arrogance. Still, you lost. Remember this. If one ship could destroy your greatest fleet, then ask yourselves what happens when the rest of us return." The galaxy gasped. Whispers spread like fire. Billions felt the blood in their veins run cold. The captain leaned closer, his eyes like burning steel. "This is your warning. Never again touch Earth. Never again betray us. Or the next time, there will not be one ship. There will be a fleet. And when that day comes, nothing in your stars will survive." The transmission ended. The screen went black. Silence followed. Silence so heavy it crushed every council chamber, every war room, every home. No one spoke. No one dared. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy felt small. For the first time, they truly feared humanity. Back on the bridge, the captain lowered his hand from the console. He looked at the photograph once more. His voice softened. No longer the iron of command, but the whisper of a man who still carried grief. "For you," he murmured. "For Earth. For all we lost." The AI spoke quietly. Message delivered. "Impact immeasurable. The galaxy has heard you." The captain nodded slowly. His eyes closed for a moment. When he opened them again, his voice was calm. "Engage cloak. Take us home." "Confirmed," the AI replied. The Iron Requiem's glow dimmed, its massive weapons folded back into its hull. Its engines pulsed once, twice, then faded into silence. Slowly the ship drifted into the void. Then, like a shadow, it vanished. The graveyard of alien fleets remained behind. Silent proof of what had happened, and across the galaxy fear grew. In the council chamber, chaos finally erupted. Delegates screamed over one another, their voices filled with panic. "They cannot be allowed to return. You must do not. If we do not, they will destroy us all. Find their world. Destroy Earth before their fleets awaken." But the elder stood once more. His voice cut through the chamber like a blade. "You fools still do not understand. You cannot destroy Earth. You cannot destroy what is already awake. The humans have returned, and no weapon, no number of fleets will save you. The tide has turned. The galaxy belongs to them now."
Oh.
No one spoke after that. His words were truth, and they all knew it. Across distant systems, survivors of the battle fled, their ships limping through hyperspace. They carried fear with them. They broadcast warnings on every channel. Do not face the humans. Do not seek their ships. Do not call their names. But it was too late. The message had already spread faster than their fear. The humans were back. Forgotten worlds and dark corners of the galaxy, whispers rose. Some races who had once been slaves under the Council began to hope. If the humans fight them, maybe they will free us too. Others fell to their knees, praying to the stars, believing humanity had become gods, and among the Council's empires, terror grew. For every admiral, every warlord, every leader now asked themselves the same question. If one ship could do this, how many more are waiting in the dark? Inside the Iron Requiem, the captain sat down at last. The photograph glowed faintly in the red light. His voice was quiet, almost a whisper. We are not finished. We are only beginning. The ship's AI answered, calm and eternal. Then let us prepare, Captain. The galaxy is listening. The stars stretched before them, endless and waiting. In the Iron Requiem, the last warship of Earth disappeared into the void, leaving behind silence, fear, and a promise that the galaxy would never forget. The galaxy now lived under one truth. One human ship had destroyed an empire. What would happen when the fleets of Earth returned? And so the stars trembled, waiting for the day when humanity would rise again. The galaxy waited. Entire worlds tuned into the Council's feed, staring at the images of the human fleet hanging in orbit around the dead star. Generals who had once laughed at Earth sat in silence. Merchants who had once cursed humans as myths bowed their heads. Civilians, watching from darkened homes on famine-struck colonies, whispered the word human as if it were a prayer. The probe remained where it was, courting its small hull dwarfed by humanity's impossible armada. Joran and Kurev sat in the cockpit, still pale from what they had seen. They had watched the swarm attack. They had watched humanity answer. Yes. They had seen the truth. The Council was no longer the center of power. It had never been. The true power had been waiting in silence all along. The Speaker of the Council struck his staff for attention. But the sound was thin, weak, almost laughable compared to the memory of human cannons bending a star. He forced his words out, each one bitter and heavy. We cannot deny what we have seen. Humanity is awake. Humanity is strong. Stronger than us all. The chamber echoed with murmurs. Some nodded. Some clenched their jaws in shame. The speaker continued, and now we must answer. Will we follow, or will we fall? Aboard the probe, the human voice returned, heavy with authority. The storm gathers. The vanguard you saw was nothing. Soon the swarm itself will arrive. When it comes, your fleets will shatter like glass. Your colonies will burn. Your worlds will die. And your council will crumble into dust, unless you stand with us. Joran leaned forward, whispering to Kurev. They don't give us a choice. Kurev shook his head slowly. No, they give us one. It's the same choice they made long ago, to fight with wisdom or to die without it. The human voice grew louder, filling every speaker across the chamber. Do not mistake this. Humanity does not seek to rule. We do not want your thrones, your banners, your pride. We want survival. We want the stars to burn bright. And if you want the same, you will follow. Not because we are gods, not because we are saviors, but because we are the only answer left. Council broke into chaos one final time. Some shouted to surrender all power to the humans. Others roared that the Council must retain command or face humiliation. Some fell to their knees in silent prayer, thanking the stars that humanity had not come as conquerors. But the truth could not be buried under arguments anymore. The truth had already been spoken, in the cold and simple voice of Earth. The historian delegate rose one last time. His voice was tired, but steady. We built an empire of noise. They built wisdom in silence. And now the galaxy has run out of answers, except theirs. No one argued. It's not anymore. The probe received one final transmission, this time not from a ship, not from a machine, but from a man. The screen flickered, and for the first time, Joran and Kurev saw him. A human, standing tall in battle-worn armor, his face scarred, his eyes sharp, his expression calm. He looked neither young nor old. He looked timeless, as though silence itself had carved him. He spoke not in code, not in riddles, but in plain words. This is Commander Elias of Earth. The galaxy has reached its final hour. You called us because you had no answers.
Shall we speak?
And this is our final word. Stand with us, or be erased. When the storm comes, humanity will fight. Not to win, but to end. And if you march with us, the stars may yet survive. His eyes narrowed, and for a moment Joran swore Elias was looking directly at him, through him, into him. Choose now. There is no time left. The transmission ended. The screen went black. The council chamber was silent once more. Delegates stared at the dark walls, the fading maps, the dead star, the human fleet. Pride, arrogance, fear, all of it had burned away. What remained was a truth too sharp to deny. The galaxy had no answers, and humanity had spoken. The council faces its choice: follow humanity into the greatest war the stars have ever seen, or fall into silence forever. The galaxy had mocked Earth, dismissed them, erased them from memory. But now, in the hour of extinction, it was humanity's voice that would decide whether the stars lived or died. The galaxy waited. Entire worlds tuned into the council's feed, staring at the images of the human fleet hanging in orbit around the dead star. Generals who had once laughed at Earth sat in silence. Merchants who had once cursed humans as myths bowed their heads. Civilians watching from darkened homes on famine-struck colonies spurred the word human as if it were a prayer. The probe remained where it was, recording its small hull, dwarfed by humanity's impossible armada. Joran and Kurev sat in the cockpit, still pale from what they had seen. They had watched the swarm attack. They had watched humanity answer. Yes. They had seen the truth. The council was no longer the center of power. It had never been. The true power had been waiting in silence all along. The speaker of the council struck his staff for attention. But the sound was thin, weak, almost laughable compared to the memory of human cannons bending a star. He forced his words out, each one bitter and heavy. We cannot deny what we have seen. Humanity is awake. Humanity is strong. Stronger than us all. The chamber echoed with murmurs. Some nodded. Some clenched their jaws in shame. The speaker continued, and now we must answer. Will we follow, or will we fall? Aboard the probe, the human voice returned, heavy with authority. The storm gathers. The vanguard you saw was nothing. Soon the swarm itself will arrive. When it comes, your fleets will shatter like glass. Your colonies will burn. Your worlds will die. And your council will crumble into dust, lest you stand with us. Joran leaned forward, whispering to Kurev. They don't give us a choice. Kurev shook his head slowly. No, they give us one. It's the same choice they made long ago, to fight with wisdom or to die without it. The human voice grew louder, filling every speaker across the chamber. Do not mistake this. Humanity does not seek to rule. We do not want your thrones, your banners, your pride. We want survival. We want the stars to burn bright. And if you want the same, you will follow. Not because we are gods, not because we are saviors, but because we are the only answer left. Council broke into chaos one final time. Some shouted to surrender all power to the humans. Others roared that the council must retain command or face humiliation. Some fell to their knees in silent prayer, thanking the stars that humanity had not come as conquerors. But the truth could not be buried under arguments anymore. The truth had already been spoken, in the cold and simple voice of Earth. The historian delegate rose one last time. His voice was tired, but steady. We built an empire of noise. They built wisdom in silence. And now the galaxy has run out of answers, except theirs. No one argued. It's not anymore. The probe received one final transmission, this time not from a ship, not from a machine, but from a man. The screen flickered, and for the first time, Joran and Kurev saw him. A human, standing tall in battle-worn armor, his face scarred, his eyes sharp, his expression calm. He looked neither young nor old. He looked timeless, as though silence itself had carved him. He spoke not in code, not in riddles, but in plain words. This is Commander Elias of Earth. The galaxy has reached its final hour. You called us because you had no answers.
Shall we speak?
And this is our final word. Stand with us, or be erased. When the storm comes, humanity will fight. Not to win, but to end. And if you march with us, the stars may yet survive. His eyes narrowed, and for a moment Joran swore Elias was looking directly at him, through him, into him. Choose now. There is no time left. The transmission ended. The screen went black. The council chamber was silent once more. Delegates stared at the dark walls, the fading maps, the dead star, the human fleet. Pride, arrogance, fear, all of it had burned away. What remained was a truth too sharp to deny. The galaxy had no answers, and humanity had spoken. The council faces its choice: follow humanity into the greatest war the stars have ever seen, or fall into silence forever. The galaxy had mocked Earth, dismissed them, erased them from memory, but now, in the hour of extinction, it was humanity's voice that would decide whether the stars lived or died.